If you've been watching Coast TV News lately, you've probably heard us talking about a big special that's coming up on February 4th. It's called The Price of Paradise: Growth on the Coast. But what you might not know is just how much work has gone into this thing. So we have brought in Madeleine Overturf to talk about this big project. And Maddie, everybody worries about different parts and maybe all of the parts of the growth out here, whether it's the infrastructure, the traffic, the different developments being built. So what was the impetus to do this new special? And then we'll get into some of the details.
Yeah, so this special has been months, well, almost really a
year.
year in the making of just really examining how we got to where we are today. Because everybody can look outside and know what's happening. Roads are bad. A lot of new houses are being built, all those things. But why? Like, what is in our current systems, statewide, countywide, local-wide, that allow for that to happen? Why are we seeing such different development than other communities where a lot of people are moving to? Because we're not the only town where people are flocking to and moving to as retirees. So we're really comparing that and looking to what our systems are in place to kind of explain why we are where we are, what can be done to address it, and some things are being done to address it, and where do we go from here?
And we get into a lot of different things here. I know that the part of this that I covered was really about the population change, what has happened over the last 5, 10, 20 years, and where they think it's going over the next 5, 10, 20 years. Everybody sort of has a different piece and part to focus on. So what specifically were you looking at for this?
So I'm anchoring this special, and I did land use was my number one, which is basically explaining codes and permitting and why we're seeing the type of development that we are. It's very hard to make government exciting, right? But that's our job. Not exciting, but to make it understandable.
Accessible, maybe.
Accessible is the better word. So all of our team, yourself, myself, Christina, tried to make that something that could be easy to digest in a hour-long format.
I think one of the things that I took away from this entire thing is how many moving pieces are happening at the same time, how many spinning plates. Sometimes they're pulling in the same direction, sometimes they maybe aren't completely lined up. And then on top of it, anytime something gets a green light or gets close to a green light, that's about the time the public starts to take notice. And that can change what was a plan. Maybe people have to revamp, maybe you get a lot of public input. So it's interesting to see how all these things play together in one place at one time as people keep moving in this direction. Because let's face it, people want to live on the coast.
Right, and we do. That's one of our final lines in this whole special, is that people want to live here. This is a great place to live. We can't emphasize that enough, that what a good problem to have people want to be here, right? To have people want to call this place home, versus you see places not even far away from here where they're having the opposite, right? So that is a good problem to have, but the word problem is still in there. And I think the biggest thing I think we try to make people understand is, like you just mentioned, when it gets the green light, it's been works for years, but a lot of people, I think, assume that if something gets rejected, nothing's going to be built there. Quite the opposite.
Yeah, a lot of times that is not the case at all.
It's not the case, and let's explain why that is. And so we sat down with a developer who kind of explains the laws, and we sat down with the county who explains the laws. We sat down with people who just moved here. We sat down with DelDOT. So we really tried to get all the key players to explain again why we're here. And I really want to mention Matt Pensick did a segment on farmers, and that was really interesting to see. People might not know this, but agriculture is the #1 industry in Sussex County. It's not tourism, it's agriculture. And for the whole state, I believe, is agriculture. So Matt sat down with farmers, and their perspective on what's happening is also really interesting. Just can't tell it all, right? Gotta give some teasers.
We don't want to give it all away, but what I will tell you is that if you're somebody that cares about what's going on with the growth, whether you think there's too much, whether you don't think there's enough because it needs to bring housing prices down, whatever your opinion is, this growth special really is going to do a good job of explaining what is happening, where things are, and what is and isn't on the docket for being done in the near future.
Absolutely. I mean, our longtime founder, Tom Draper, had a quote that we walk under every day when we walk in. It says, "We have a moral obligation to serve the people of Delmarva." And I believe in my heart that this special has done that, to give people at least the information and make it accessible of something that I would say everyone here cares about. And what happens after that, that's not our job. Our job is to provide the information and educate and see what comes of that. But hopefully people feel like at least something that they care about has a light shined on it.
Well, I think anytime you can give the people more information, that is going to lead to the decisions that get made in the future, because the politicians are going to react to the way the people feel about things. And that's, getting them the information is how all of this coalesces. So if you want to learn more about the growth in Sussex County and really some parts of the whole state, tune in February 4th, 7 o'clock. It is going to be an hour-long special. And if you happen to miss it, or even if you watch it and want more information, also check our website, CoastTV.com. We are going to have a lot of extra coverage on that website.
There is some digital exclusives on there that our digital content manager, Zoe Stamen, has put some work into that. Tori Seagraves, they've really put in these extra articles, and you can really dig as deep as you would like to on that. So thanks for having me on, and thank you, Delmarva, for trusting us to confront a pretty complicated topic.
But a topic I think people care about. We are going to take a break, ladies and gentlemen. Don't go anywhere. There's more Coast Life after this.